The sweet spots indicator for Mt4 automatically plots horizontal lines on round numbers, 00 and 50. It has been typically observed that these round price levels tend to carry more importance than others. More often than not, an asset price will stop at round number levels to decide whether it wants to continue a move or reverse direction. Understanding the sweet spot interest rates can be considered to be in a sweet spot if they keep inflationary pressures in check, but don't do so at the cost of the overall market. Similarly, when the current level of employment in an economy is enough to stimulate economic growth without leading to higher levels of inflation through wage pressures, this can also be referred to as a sweet spot. The sweet spot for an economy is somewhat subjective, and there is no official balance of jobs to inflation or interest to growth. In various types of trading, the sweet spot is used to informally refer to ideal entry and exit points based on chart formations or other indicators. The sweet spot on a head and shoulders formation, for example, would be a short position entered near the top of the second shoulder after the pattern was confirmed. Although this isn't the maximum profitability point, there is a higher probability of a successful trade as the reversal is confirmed. Almost every indicator or chart formation has a commonly used sweet spot that acts as a trade trigger. Sweet spot in the global economy. One of the perceived signs that the economy has hit a sweet spot is the growth of the middle class. The world has gone through two great expansions of the middle class since 1800, and current times are looking to be the third. In the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution created an economic sweet spot that gave rise to a substantial middle class in Western Europe and the United States. Another period of middle class growth occurred after World War II, once again in Europe and North America and also in Japan. Today's expansion is happening around the world. In China alone, analysts estimate that 550 million people will have entered the middle class by 20,201, more than the total population of the European Union or the United States. Over the next 2 decades, experts estimate that the middle class will expand by another 3 billion people, coming almost exclusively from the emerging world. So even though a particular national economy is not in a sweet spot, the global picture is in a, hopefully, prolonged sweet spot in terms of middle class expansion. Sweet spots indicator for Mt4, support and resistance. These round numbered levels are psychological support and resistance levels because traders from all over the world monitor these levels, and as soon as price approaches any of these points, many traders jump in to catch bounces off these points. It may not be a complete reversal, but it will just be a slight rejection, and maybe the market might even continue following through with its initial direction. However, this may not always be the case. Sometimes the market just goes right through this point without any resistance, but most of the time these lines are deemed sweet spots from which you may trade off. In a way, this indicator is just like the pivot point indicator, which is a combination of support and resistance lines equally spaced out below and above the main pivot line using a different method of calculation such as Fibonacci. The only difference is that instead of using Fibonacci calculations or any other calculations, it just draws 10 lines on either side of the main middle line marking off the price points which end with 00 or 50 at the end. So that gives you a total of 20 lines specified. But when you notice that you do not have enough horizontal sweet spots being drawn for you in your screen, you could just adjust the default settings so that you can add more lines in by simply typing in a number greater than 10. In the image below, I opted to go for 20 lines so that it will have 40 sweet spot lines in total. Sweet spots indicator for Mt4, buy entries. As a word of caution, I would not look at trading the market by just using this as my only indicator to draw conclusive triggering points for opening up my trades. So what you could do is maybe add in a Fibonacci retracement tool, and then based on the recent price movement or price activity, you could then choose to swing the Fibonacci retracement tool across the explicit down or up swings in the market. And then what you could do is then look for levels where the sweet spot levels come into confluence. What is the sweet spot? The sweet spot is the point at which an indicator or policy provides the optimal balance of costs and benefits. This term is often used to refer to situations where economic data, such as interest rates or employment numbers, are